I think two.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We will start, I will call this meeting to order here at 6 p.m. in council chambers. I'm still trying to load our agenda on my screen, so apologies for that delay. We do not have any remote electronic attendance, so we move to our oath of office for promotional appointment of Edward Holtkamp to the rank of firefighter paramedic, effective December 20th, 2023. Chief?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, members of council. It's once again a pleasure to stand before you and introduce to you one of our new firefighters after he's successfully completed his probationary period. And up here tonight I have Eddie Holtkamp. Firefighter Holtkamp was hired on August 31st, 2022. He grew up in Geneseo and graduated from Geneseo High School in 2016. After graduation, he spent time working various jobs before eventually getting hired by the Princeton Fire Department, where he received his basic firefighter operations training. Firefighter Holtkamp recently graduated from Blackhawk College paramedic program, receiving his license this past December. We're very proud of him for that. And at this time, Mayor, if you would like to join us and issue Eddie his oath of office.
I, Edward Holtkamp,
Having been duly appointed
have been duly appointed
to the position of firefighter paramedic
to the position of firefighter paramedic
for the fire department for
the fire department
for the city of Moline, Illinois,
for the city of Moline, Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the position of firefighter paramedic
the position of firefighter paramedic
for the city of Moline, Illinois,
for the city of Moline, Illinois,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Thank you for joining.
Now if I could get firefighter Nicely Green, Cole Nicely Green, to join us up here. Eddie's asked that firefighter Nicely Green pin his badge on him. Firefighter Nicely Green served as his mentor during his training periods. You guys have to get some family pictures up there, too. Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome on board. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome, congratulations.
All right, we continue on with number 4, board appointments. Mayor's appointment of Karen Dahlstrom to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to fill the unexpired term of Cindy Lindsay to expire May 31, 2024. Any questions? All right, hearing none. Is there public comment this evening, Chief?
Yes, Butch Trevor.
All right. Please, Mr. Trevor, come to the microphone.
Your
You
Honor,
got 3 minutes.
fine, I won't. Your Honor, members of the council, I'm here tonight because I saw that on number 10, you're going to talk about 16th Street changing from a 4-lane to a 3-lane. I've got a family business that's been on that street since 1987. I've watched the last major reconstruction of 16th Street, which was 1990, when we went from a rough 2-lane, 3-lane to a 4-lane, which has been wonderful. I don't have the current figures because I didn't have time for that, but I believe 16th Street generates something like 20 to 25,000 cars a day. I watched with interest with 19th Street from the Rock Island border to 19th Avenue, and the traffic there is terrible. I hate to drive on that one because I shop at Jewel Osco, and I used to come from Jewel Osco and be able to go within a half a block of the intersection at 7th Street. Now sometimes I'm backed up 2 to 3 blocks waiting to get through the intersection. I just don't like the thought of having to restrict the customer count that comes to my store by going from 4 lanes to 2 lanes. I understand that the middle lane is supposed to be a turning lane. It doesn't work well that way. I'm strongly opposed to the idea of changing from what is working well right now to something that I see as regressive. That's it, less than 3 minutes.
Thank
Thank
you
you for
very
listening.
much. All right. Under questions on the agenda, I have one update for you. There's a Scrivener error in the minutes noting Mr. Macias as present, where the vote was taken to go into executive session. He was absent, so we will correct that Scrivener error. And if there's nothing further, we move to our item 7.1, an ordinance creating a PACE area and establishing the Illinois Finance Authority property at assessed clean energy program for record owners of property that from time to time may voluntarily request the levy of special assessments to secure the financing or refinancing of their PACE projects, authorizing program administrators to act thereunder, designating the Illinois Finance Authority as the sole issuer of bonds and notes, and approving related matters. Mr. Vitas.
Sure, I'm going to share the stage on this one with Chris as well. This is a subject that was brought to our attention by Doug House several months ago. Recently, the city of East Moline, our neighbor to the east, adopted such an ordinance, and the bottom line is it's another tool in our economic development toolbox in order to assist area businesses, not residential, but area businesses and agricultural properties to be able to access funding through the Illinois Finance Development Authority. And with that, Chris, maybe you want to provide some more detail.
Yeah, so I'll just say a couple of things about the program. I did have a couple examples of projects that I left there at your desk. So a couple different projects around the state. As Bob said, this is just another toolbox, another tool in the toolbox for us. There's no money out of the pocket of the city. There's no really more staff time involved with this. Something we'd be doing anyway, right, is sitting down with the business and trying to make that pro forma work. And so this is just going to be another thing that we can hopefully use to plug some of those gaps on a pro forma. So what's in it for the business? I mean, obviously, this is another way, it's another financing tool for the business, but it also has no money out of pocket for the business if they choose to go this route. They won't have closing costs. It really, the collateral is going to be the assessment of the property, and they'll pay, when they go to pay the property taxes, they're going to pay them loan back at that point. So the city is not on the hook to pay off the assessment or anything like that. It's a private thing that runs with the land for that business. You'll see some examples there. The type of things they can finance are going to be green energy projects. They're going to be energy efficiency type projects. And we'll also be, you know, if we get somebody that comes in and says, hey, I just want to bring the building up to code, that'll be another thing we're going to explore as to how this could work. And the only other thing I want to add to this is an open market. So those folks that want to be financing projects, they can be part of that market. They'll work with the state. The state handles all that, so we're not going to be the one administering the program. But any other questions you have for me, I'm happy to answer, or if we need to go. It is kind of a complicated program, so if you want us to go dig in the weeds, we can get more of those questions answered for you. But staff recommends approval of this, and we're just happy to have another tool to help business and help economic development in Moline.
Motion to approve? Second.
Motion by Schmidt, seconded by Timian. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Macias?
Thank you, Your Honor. So would you be the administrator?
The administrator will be somebody with that state program.
So not an employee here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So it really is pretty, I mean, it's not hands-off because we'll be working with that business, but it is hands-off in terms of administering a loan and making sure people are paying things and setting it up.
Ms.
Do they have
Murphy?
a Quad City office? Is there going to be one here?
There will not be a Quad City office, as far as I know. This is coming out of Springfield. So Brad Fletcher is who we've been talking to. And I think the way it's set up, there really won't need to be a Quad City office. It'd be something that could easily be handled out of Springfield.
And can you clarify, was it East Moline or Silvis that already passed this in that municipality?
East Moline.
Okay.
Yeah, East
Because
Moline.
I looked on their website today, I didn't see anything other than Whiteside County being the closest to us.
Okay, yeah, it takes time to update websites.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, so it would be falling in line. Anything further? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7.2, a resolution approving the purchase of 6 parcels of excess I-74 bridge property from the Illinois Department of Transportation for the total fair market value of $340,600 and directing city administration to pursue the purchase of said parcels with IDOT through its completion, and authorizing the mayor, city clerk, corporation council, and city staff to do all things necessary to acquire said real property. Mr. Vitas.
Well, we're here. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really happy to be able to report to you that the DOT, not working?
No, it's not.
That the DOT, working with the city over the last several years during the bridge construction project, arrived at this point in time based on a change in the state law, which this city was instrumental in making. Both Renew Moline, the city, and our lobbyists worked closely in Springfield to make this a reality so that the parcels themselves would not fall into private hands. So with that, we had a 45-day window based on the state law to adopt a resolution, which is before you tonight, which would allow the city then to acquire those remnant parcels, which are integral to the redevelopment of not only the riverfront, but the corridor as well. So we're recommending approval of the purchase.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Timian, seconded by Macias. Discussion? Yes, Mr. Timian.
This is awesome. To your point, glad we're here. But we all started thinking this was the big project, and we're well on our way. So I'm really glad we're to this point.
And I assume MKSK has been updated that we're at this point and pending the votes tonight.
Yes,
They have even more to work with.
we've had discussions with MKSK. They're aware that we are in the process of acquiring these additional parcels. And their next meeting in this city will happen on February the 10th, but you'll all be notified of that very shortly.
Okay,
It's the next big event.
okay. Yes, Ms. Castro.
I was just wondering if there have been any conversations with the property that Deere owns, if we know what they're planning on doing with that area?
I can tell you this much from I sit on the Renew Moline board, which was created by John Deere executives, et cetera. That's their parcel. We'll find out what they're interested in using it for. But clearly Alex Elias has lines of communication open with them,
Yes, she does. She is the key contact with Deere.
right? Okay. If there's nothing further, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, our informational, 8.1, pavement remarking on 16th Street from Avenue of the Cities to 36th Avenue from 4 lanes to 3 lanes with a 2-way center left turn lane. Mr. Dryer.
How are you?
Just fine.
So you have the slides in your council
Does
packets.
he need the clicker over there?
It's on the podium.
On the podium.
Oh, I can figure this out.
Use the button that's all worn out.
I was gonna say it's the worn out one, okay. So I will go through the slides quickly and then answer any questions. So this is a project that's been on our radar screen for some time. And, you know, one that we want to undertake from Avenue of the Cities down to Cold Town Road. It's a project that a similar type of treatment for a street, road diet that we've done on several streets within the city. 19th Avenue was one, 34th Street near the high school, some lane reductions on 52nd Avenue, 53rd Street, and 12th Avenue, which you'll all remember from last year. So what we have in mind is a project that runs from Avenue of the Cities to Cold Town, is intended to improve traffic safety, potentially reduce speeding. It's a project that's consistent with the city's multimodal plan. It's a concept that we had vetted by GHA, which is a traffic engineering consultant, and they recommended that, that the option is feasible for this street. And we've also reviewed it with our Complete Streets Committee. Again, this slide here is the project limits from Avenue of the Cities to Cold Town Road, 36th Avenue, about 8/10 of a mile long. And this photo here is just the existing typical conditions here. Shows the 4 lanes with the sidewalk at the back of the curb, about a 48-foot wide street. And some background data. It wouldn't be an engineering presentation without data for you. It's functionally classified as a minor arterial. Functional classification is a procedure where the states, the feds, and the MPO identify the type of role that your street plays within the transportation system. In this instance here, 16th Street is a minor arterial. It's carrying between 13,700 and 14,000 vehicles per day, the posted speed limit of 30 miles an hour. The 85th percentile speed is 36, and that's the speed at or below which 85% of traffic travels. And the average speed, which I spelled wrong in that slide there, I noticed this afternoon, is 33 miles an hour. We looked at the traffic crashes through the corridor. This is a project where we want to try to reduce some of the traffic crashes. We looked at 5 years. We've had a total of 36 crashes there over that time frame, average of about 7.2 per year. Varied over that time frame from 10 crashes per year to 5 or 6. We've had no fatalities, which is good news, and 7 injury reported crashes reported by MPD. And so we drilled down into the data, and we have these noted as the crash types ever reported. The most prevalent is the right angle crashes with 11, which is about a third of our total, followed by rear ends and side swipes with about 6 each for about 17% each. MPD officers noted in their crash reports the most common contributing factor was failure to yield right-of-way, failure to reduce speed prior to a crash, improper turns, and improper lane usage. They also noted that there were no reports of impaired operators involved in these crashes. So the next several slides are just a pin map that shows kind of the hot spots of where crashes have been occurring along the corridor over that past 5-year period, largely at our intersection locations, which makes sense that where people are entering and turning to leave the corridor. And so you can see that through here. The left slide there is just south of Avenue of the Cities, and as it moves south. A few crashes near Trevor's True Value, a couple near the television station, and then a few as you get further south to Coal Town. So there are basically 3 crash types that generally can be affected, reduced by a 4 to 3 lane conversion. The first one is rear end crashes. The center lane that provides space, a location where a driver can move into to make their turn to reduce their speeds. One of the goals in managing streets to reduce crashes is try to maintain a uniform speed. It's when you have disparate travel speeds amongst drivers on the street, that's when you have people starting to make poor decisions and you have crashes. So the center left turn lane allows that red vehicle to make their turn without having to worry about that blue car hitting them in the tail end there. The second type of crash is the incorrect lane changes. Here, for example, the red car is turning left out of that center lane. The blue car behind him may not be paying attention, sees the red car, tries to shoot into the outside lane, not clearing behind them and being involved in the crash with the yellow vehicle. So that's a failure to be keeping your lane for whatever reason, side swipes. So that's one of the benefits of the center left turn lane as well. And finally, the third crash type that can be reduced from a 4 to 3 lane conversion is the left turn combination right angle crash. Here, vehicle 1 is trying to make a left turn. Vehicle 2 can be restricting the sight of driver number 1 and failing to see the yellow car coming up on the outside lane. What the center left turn allows the driver to do is to move them over a bit so they can see that approaching traffic. Again, you can make your turn without as much stress and urgency because you're in a more safe position on the street to make your turn. So that's one of the other benefits of the center left turn lane. So we looked at this and what's it all mean? We drilled down into it. What crashes can we reduce via the design? We find that 15 total of those crashes, 6 side swipe, 3 right angle multi-threat, and 6 rear ends. So that's about 42% of the 36 crashes that were reported there over the last 5 years. We think that we can get to and reduce that percentage of crashes. And then here's just a photo of what the concept would look like. I just had to put that in here. That's not in Moline. I just quickly snipped it offline, so it kind of gives you an idea of what it is. So in conclusion, a 3-lane section we believe will improve safety by reducing rear end side swipes, crashes. It'll make entering the street safer because you'll be able to make your turn in 2 stages if traffic is that heavy. It provides that spatial separation between opposing lanes of traffic. Reduces the multiple threat crashes by improving visibility. Has the potential to reduce overall traffic speeds because one driver can set the pace in the traffic stream and generally reduce people passing you on the right. As I noted before, it removes left turn traffic from the through traffic lanes. It does provide facilities for bikes, and it's consistent with our multimodal plan. It also improves crossing conditions for pedestrians, provides a little bit of a buffer for pedestrians on the sidewalk. As I noted earlier, the sidewalk's right at the back of curb. This design moves traffic away from the curb. As I noted, the design's consistent with the city's multimodal plan, and importantly, it does not require parking removal. I will never forget 12th Avenue. Again, it was reviewed by Complete Streets Committee, and it's been a project that's been on the radar screen for engineering for some time. So next step, we just wanted to check in with you. There's no formal ordinance changes required, so there's really no formal action that you need to take. We were hoping just kind of for a thumbs up, thumbs down type of approval. We believe with the council's support, we can make these modifications in this year. And the cost for remarking are estimated at about $15,000. And then this last slide is just some web resources. If you are bored one evening and can't sleep, you can go research center left turn lanes. So.
Thank you, Mr. Dreyer. Questions from the council or comments? Yes, Mr. Razak.
Thank you, David, for presenting an important issue with a lot of data and information. Though I'm not an engineer, I don't, and even I'm not a good driver, though I have never been, though I have never got any ticket. That is a problem. But my My question is, if we think about the 16th Street, that says someone is taking 16th Street from John Deere Road, or say someone is there from avenues of the city, if someone take turn towards left turn, but in the middle, we are reducing 4 to 3,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So when someone is new coming to the city, he will not have any idea. We are, on both ends, we have 4 lanes, and suddenly there will be a 3 lane or 2 lanes. Driver might get confused with that. So
Sure,
would
so-
that not cause crashes?
Mr. Dry?
Certainly, we do drop from the number of lanes at the intersections, and we just basically provide the lane drop similar to how we have some of our other north-south streets where we've gone from 4 to 2 lanes, for example. We just have to provide the sufficient distance for lane drops and people to redirect themselves. None of the intersections on either end of this project are really being changed as a result of this project. The gentleman complained about 19th Avenue. The difference between that one is that the signalized intersections, the capacity was reduced at those intersections because a through lane was removed. And that's why you're seeing some time of day congestion at those locations. This street is a little more cleaner in that regard, in that we're just working between the intersections. We do have intersection projects associated at the 2 intersections there. Last year, you approved 16th and Avenue of the Cities and things, but those were reviewed by GHA, and they feel that this is a good project. It's within the range of traffic volumes that the feds and the states and the universities that have researched these types of conversions falls. So that's why we're high on proceeding with this, because I think you will see some safety improvements as a result.
There were other questions, Ms. Castro?
You may have answered this, but maybe not. So I'm wondering about specifically the intersection between Avenue of the Cities and 16th Street. Will that be 3 lanes as well, or will it kind of like go off and go into 4 lanes?
The intersection with Avenue of the Cities and 16th Street, that is,
Because currently there's still 4 right there, right?
we're modifying, I'd have to look exactly what the plan is, but GHA, we went over this with Alderman Went some time ago about the number of lanes there and the need to remove lanes. We're modifying the right turn lane in front of Whitey's and things. But for the most part, the 16th Street capacity is not really being changed at the intersection proper. So,
Mr. Macias?
And just, my question was along the same lines. But I guess I'll just ask, how long is that, I guess, transition from the 4 into 3?
I'd have to go draw up the sketch and see what it looks like. I don't have the distance in mind, but it's a couple hundred feet. It's all a function of how much traffic you have, and you got to give people the space to zipper back together. But the state has all those recommendations and things, and we would be consistent with that.
Okay. So it is, just to follow, so is that going to be a part of the other plan that we approved, or is it going to be part of this?
The intersection with Coal Town, it would be part of this,
Okay.
yeah.
Any
Thank you.
other questions before I ask a question, Mr. Toomey?
This, for a little context too, based on the traffic studies we did, north of Avenue of the Cities has to stay at 4 lanes, just based on volume.
Yeah, the route through the city is 19th Avenue, 16th Street to Avenue of the Cities. It's a connection from Rock Island back to 74. So that's a different creature than this piece. This piece is a little sleepier with respect to activity.
And with that in mind, if we didn't go forward with this, how would this impact the 16th Street, 23rd Avenue of the Cities intersection redevelopment?
No, it wouldn't affect.
It wouldn't affect it
No.
one way or the other?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Mr. Schmidt?
So, and you spoke about the section north of Avenue of the Cities.
Yes, sir.
For the section south of 36th, Avenue then, I presume, is that also too busy to be converted?
I was actually looking at the traffic volumes, and it's not outside of the range that you could possibly do a conversion.
By the time we got to the mall, that for sure
Yeah,
would be, I imagine.
the issue is that the mall has potential for redevelopment, so whatever we would do would have to be carefully considered, so that if there was some significant changes at the mall, infill development, you know, mixed-use things down there, you'd want to be able to still service that. It's the same thing with 27th Street. The state is looking at some changes to that cross-section. And you know, we said you have to be very careful, and we have to work with planning to see what we think the ultimate use of the mall property will be, so that we can still service them.
What's the merit of going from a place where you can't reducing in the one stretch where you can, and then going to another stretch? Because now we're adding a change that can't be enacted across the whole stretch.
I think you have to look at it from intersection to intersection. I think this piece is distinct enough. It's not as if we're going one block 3, next block 4, next, you know, we're not doing.
Larger
Yeah.
sections, sure.
So I think this is, you know, it's 0.8 of a mile long. It will work. It's a quieter segment. Number of businesses along the corridor that'll benefit from it, in my opinion, with their ability to turn to Trevor Hardware, for example, Dot Spots and the TV station. It'll give people a safer place to make their turn from.
So I have a question. I appreciate all of the safety benefits of this, and I also appreciate the data. Would you mind going back to the slide with the graph?
With the crashes? That one?
Yeah, so I'm also well aware that this is a project that's been in the works quite a long time, since before I've been in this chair.
It's been one that's been discussed over the years, yes.
Right. And I, you know, when I see a distinct drop-off in one column of data, of course, I'm wondering, what is that? And does that really show what you wanted to show, that we need to do this? And I'm assuming that is just a reduction because people were at home during COVID?
It could very well be, you know, traffic, this street does not have a very problematic crash record. These aren't, you know, so high that we would point it out as a hot spot on the city's crash map. It's just basically reporting what we have there, because that's generally what any traffic engineer would do with any street project, is what do the crashes look like? We looked at it to see, okay, of all those crashes, what are the type that the twiddle can possibly fix? And that's, you know, largely
Yeah, so it matters because the kinds of crashes that this
Exactly.
road diet system fix
Can
are the
address.
kinds of crashes you've seen over
Yes.
time there.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
The other question I have would be, just at some point, for the benefit of the council, none of whom were here when Complete Streets went in, although I do understand the purpose of Complete Streets. I'm not saying I'm against it or anything like that.
no,
I would love if we got some data on how the current road diets that have been put in the last few years are functioning. Have we seen that reduction in crashes? I feel Mr. Trevor's pain. I have tried to turn onto
No,
19th, and it does take a long time. But I'm always thankful because I know I can see people are slower. I know people are slower on 7th Street. That I know people are slower on 12th Avenue, and folks have written in about that. Despite all of the discussion last year, I've also received thanks for us doing that because it's changed. And walkers, especially the people walking in the community, love the bike lanes because of the buffer it gives to them and the safety it gives. So I don't want you to hear my questioning of data as a lack of support for the idea, but I do think if we're going to, you know, base things in data, we probably need a little more reporting too.
No, I understand.
on its
And we haven't done a global before and after study with respect to the conversions and things. I can just say anecdotally that I certainly see people using it as cyclists on 12th Avenue and things, but I haven't had a chance to talk to police department to see if they noticed a change, just in the amount of
okay.
time that it's been in place. Probably would want to have at least 12th Avenue have a little bit more time under its belt.
Okay,
And-
yeah, if you guys could
Yeah.
talk with the administration and figure out how to get us some of that information, that'd be really helpful.
Sure.
And also, for the lay person, the signalized intersection, just so I have that understanding, you're really talking about where we have a dedicated lane, left turn lane, as opposed to the diet in the middle, right? That's what slows people down, and could that also then be, like, I just observed another, crash on 12th Avenue and 27th the other day. But I think it may have been at the signalized intersection, not the road diet avenue.
Yeah,
Right, so I would love to understand where things are happening the worst, right? Which kind of road?
Sure, and I would say that, just off the top of my head, the place where you're gonna see a lot of crashes still remaining on streets like 12th or at the signals where people are turning and people, misjudge approaching traffic or they're not paying attention.
Okay,
And that's the result. The center left turn lane doesn't fix everything, but it'll get to a good portion of it.
thank you. Mr. Schmidt?
Is this section of road due for striping? Is that, just thinking on the timing, is this coming up or are we putting down payment when we have to?
I don't know what the last time that we had it striped. I don't think it's probably relatively recent, but I'd have to check. I don't have that off the top of my head.
So he needs some sort of feedback. I mean, basically, we need a little more information. And then would the $15,000 allocated come back to us for approval?
No.
No, he's got it in his budget to do it.
Right,
Based
it's
on,
in our
purchasing
paper.
based on our
policy, no,
programs,
yeah.
okay.
And it would not have under the old policy either.
I mean, the consensus from this group, it sounds like we can understand what you're doing, but we do have some questions.
No, absolutely. I would expect you to.
Okay.
So you'd like us to bring this back for further discussion or elaboration on the part of
Counsel?
staff?
Well,
Mr. Timian?
I think if we could pull data on 12th Avenue east of 41st Street, that's been done for about 4 or 5 years. And I think 19th Avenue has also been,
And 7th
and
Street.
7th Street. So I think they're very different animals than this stretch of road. But if we could show any generalized reduction in accidents, I think that would scratch that itch.
As well as the need for doing it now. I mean, yes, we have a policy, but it's always nice to be efficient, like, yes, it's due for repainting, let's get it done now. I think that efficiency is desirable.
And I would recognize that there's of course a range. We just want to make sure we're in that range of what we should be doing it was my only thought. But yeah.
Mr. Macias?
Thank you. And also a refresher, and I don't know if everybody here has seen that plan for 16th Street and 23rd Avenue. I don't know how long ago we looked at that.
Yeah, it
Was
was,
in the summer? Well, I can't remember exactly.
I can't either, but if,
I can't recall,
we
Well,
can ask the clerk to send out, the,
That would be helpful.
the 16th
It's under
Street
construction,
and
so
Avenue of the
we're pretty well,
city's
we're
plan.
pretty well set on that.
Yeah.
My concern with the before and after is that'll take some time to put together. And it's not as quickly, because you have to go through and literally read each of the officers' crash reports to understand exactly what happened.
Well, understood. I would encourage you to work with Chief to help get that done to some degree. Anything further, Mr. Vitas?
I'm just taking copious notes so we can bring back the proper report.
Thank you. All right, yes, Mr. Dykesen.
Your Honor, there is, on the city's website, under the engineering department, there is an image of the planned improvements for Avenue of the Cities and 16th.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
All right, that takes care of that. And if you need a tutorial on how to search for stuff in all of the website, go to Mr. Alderperson Timmy, and he's good at finding that.
I'm okay.
All right, council call to order, please, for the regular meeting, Pledge of Allegiance. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do you have an invocation, Mr. Macias?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderperson Murphy,
Present.
Macias.
Present.
Razak,
Present.
Timian,
Present?
Finch,
Present.
Castro,
Present.
Schmidt.
Present.
Your Honor, I request the approval of the Committee of the Whole, Council, and Executive Session meeting minutes of January 10, 2024, and appointments made during Committee of the Whole on January 23, 2024, and consent agenda items 14.1 through 14.8 inclusively.
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
All right, motion by Timian, second by Razak. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Macias,
Yes, yeah, sorry. I was
Razak.
searching for it.
Aye.
Timian,
Aye.
Finch,
Aye.
Castro,
Aye.
Schmidt,
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Non-consent agenda resolutions. Item number 16.1, a resolution approving the purchase of 6 parcels of excess I-74 bridge property from the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, for the total fair market value of $340,600, and directing city administration to pursue the purchase of said parcels with IDOT through its completion, and authorizing the mayor, city clerk, corporation council, and city staff to do all things necessary to acquire said real property.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Timian, seconded by Castro. Discussion. All right, hearing none, roll call, please. Wait, yes, roll call, please.
Alderperson Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. Item number 16.2, a resolution authorizing the mayor to appoint Daniel McNeil to fill the 6th Ward alderperson vacancy resulting from the passing of Alderperson Pat O'Brien on December 10, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Finch, seconded by Razak. Discussion. I'll say, I didn't receive any inquiries, further inquiries. I think the explanation of the fitness of Mr. McNeil for this position, especially on a short timeline. Those of you that were just seated in May of last year understand that it takes time to get going, and so his experience on the park board, especially for 3 years, and knowledge of community issues because of his profession, he really does know what communities or what families are facing in Moline. And I think that's good as we make decisions about how to meet needs for all of our residents. So I appreciate your support of this appointment. Any questions, Mr. Timian?
I wanted to thank you, Your Honor. I know a few people who applied for this position, and the thoroughness in interviewing everyone and considering everyone, I think was the level of transparency and thoughtfulness that went into the decision was very welcome. You could have just as easily have appointed anyone, but you open this to the community and ask for interested applicants. And I think that is very much in tune with the spirit of how we're trying to run the city. So, and again, Mr. McNeil, extremely qualified. I was a little, what was the word, overwhelmed. I'm like, I think he's perfect fit. So I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. Anything further? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderperson Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch.
Aye.
Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, that motion carries. And that is all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, under miscellaneous business, just to follow up, we will most likely be doing swearing in of Mr. McNeil now that you've made this vote at a separate time, and then he will sit for his first meeting on the 13th, according to all of the deadlines. Miscellaneous, it's busy as usual for staff and all of us. I wanted to make a note that I wondered if you had seen that the Handy at Home series from MCDC got postponed because of weather last night, but it's postponed. The new date is January 29th. And I believe there's been a really good response from the community filling all of those spots, 25 spots. And our Human Rights Commission, I learned, just provided some funding to make sure that residents could be there, even if they couldn't make a donation on their own. So I think that speaks to the spirit of improving neighborhoods that MCDC and this council is about. I do also want to give you a rundown on how time was spent learning to bring things back. Those of you that have served with me for quite some time know that anytime I go to a U.S. Conference of Mayors event or Mayors Innovation Project event, I bring a lot back. In fact, Bob, I think,
I can
sits
attest
in
to this.
trepidation about how much I'm going to ask him to look into. But the very first session I attended, and I was chatting with Chief Galt as I was there and sent him my notes, was about advancing women in leadership positions in policing. And it was very interesting, especially given the conversations we've had about recruitment and how to fill those last few spots that we have open in the police department. So I plan to circle back with him about that. Workforce development in basically just all of workforce development. There's been some good conversation regarding that in the Quad Cities as a whole, so it was good to check on how that's being talked about. Economic growth and economic mobility in cities. We've been passing programs related to that, so it was good to get a refresher. And then also pathways into the mental health care space in terms of creating more providers and getting more services out there for our communities. And then an update on immigration issues, because this was held in Washington, D.C., was all federal representation, Border Patrol agents from Texas, et cetera. So I have a nice update on what's happening and what needs to happen to keep things manageable, if you're interested in that. And finally, there were some, at the Mayor's Innovation Project, there was a wonderful session on civic engagement, basically. And so I want to encourage you. I know Mr. O'Brien, one of the things that he did very well was connect with his constituents. And I think that model for all of us is something we should strive for. So I implore you to plan a ward meeting if you have not done so far. One ward meeting a year is sort of a bare minimum that I would hope you could try to do. If you need help organizing that, figuring out a place to have it, how you would advertise it, those kinds of things, we certainly can talk with our executive staff on how to make that happen. But one of the models that this session mentioned was a neighborhood summit, right? It's kind of the same thing as a ward meeting, but a little bit bigger, where we could even, if there were funds, bring in professionals that can talk about certain things. And KJ Whitley, to her credit, has been doing some of this with our neighborhood organizations already. So we kind of have the kernels of this intense civic engagement that we really want to have a healthy community who knows what their city's up to and knows what's being done for and with them. And one of the other concepts I'll be continuing to follow up on is something I gave Ms. Barnes and Mr. Vitas maybe about a year and a half or 2 years ago. It was a policy brief on participatory budgeting. And I don't know if you recall it, but I will dig it out again because I do think that we are kind of a perfectly sized community to take the right chunk of funds, whether it's from cannabis income, tax income, or some other funding source, and allow our wards to talk together about making priorities. That charrette system we've had for form-based code and MKSK and the skate park and all those ways we've already engaged the public is the perfect way they use to gather priorities from the neighborhoods in other cities and they get a say on what projects get funded in their ward. Right? So I would really love us to consider that when budget time comes up again in October and have a plan in place for how we can get to that before October, right? I don't think it'll take too much, but I have policy briefs to share with you on that. And that is all I finally have. But I did see, I'm assuming you're gonna talk
I'm gonna
about this,
talk
or
about that.
Denver's gonna talk about the snow. We want to acknowledge the major snow and winter weather event we had. And if you have all further thoughts about that, certainly you can chat about it. Go ahead, Ms. Murphy.
So I'm sure we all have heard more than we want to hear about snow. And I know it's an act of God, and it's more snow than I've seen in a long time. But several of our residents have expressed concern about the emergency snow route and the wording that we are going to tow. They expect us to tow. They said if we put it out in the media, because they want their parking places, their businesses, they're small. One of them was a pastor of the church, and that's what the expectation is. So I think the confusion is that we go to the media, we release the emergency snow declaration, which says we're going to tow, and with the amount of snow we had and the amount of days it's taken to get the snow removed, that they're very frustrated. So I'm not a fan of towing because of the expense, but I do think that we need to either not tow, take it off, the wording off the declaration, the signs, or we need to just ticket to get people to conform to what we want them to do. And maybe the ticket could be $45, $50, I don't know, but something to drive the behavior we want.
That's very helpful feedback, and I will say, even though I was, remote for a portion of the end of last week, I was still working on folks calling in and everything from the storm. And one of the issues was sidewalk clearance and by especially the elementary schools, right? So it's again another issue of enforcement. And I will say that Mr. Howman did mention that for snow removal, whether it's on a street or on a sidewalk, we don't have an abatement program, right? He did cite folks for not clearing their sidewalks, right? It's really unsafe for kids, but
7th Street is it's a mess.
well, he cited them, but then getting it done, getting it cleared is another issue. And for some, they weren't even available. Like the people that normally cleared sidewalks were not available to clear the sidewalk. So he's working on an abatement program that can help with these issues. I also think community coming together, and offering to help, if we can go back to some of that kind of organization, if we have a way to organize folks to help people get things cleared, we can look into that. But certainly wording can be fixed easily in order to preserve the code flexibility that I believe Chief wrote to us all about, needing to be able to tow, ticket and tow. But we can definitely work on that. Mr. Macias.
Yeah, I'll just add, at least the weather's getting nicer, so it's starting to melt. But yeah, I did get at least a couple nice emails, and I just was communicating to people, just bear with our staff. It's a lot. It was just way too much that we got. So, so thank you for our staff for all those hours worked. And like I said, it was just a lot. My back hurts. I'll just put it that way. So that's it, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Razak.
I'm thanking our staffs for their hard work all day and night. And though I got a couple of email, I forwarded it to Mr. Denver, and he responded it nicely. And I feel that one of the email was a bit weird, that somebody requested to remove the snow from his yard. That sounds, that did not sound to me good, or I did not understand what he meant actually. However, I forwarded the email to Denver. He took all possible actions, and once again, I'm thanking all our staffs, particularly Denver, for taking care of us.
Thank you. The call center was a great idea.
Yeah.
A place to, centralize everybody's needs. And even today, I mentioned go to the Go Request app online to folks who are concerned about their accessibility with someone in a wheelchair and at home and all of those kinds of things. So Mr. Timian.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm just going to jump on the sled here. And I live on 27th Street, so it's a main thoroughfare. And I heard plows going up and down the street all night during these events. And that it shows the dedication of the staff that were working 24 hours in multiple shifts doing this. And so that work and dedication for an event that a city our size could never plan for, there would, if we owned, 50 vehicles, that would be a waste of money. So we did an amazing job with what we had, all hands on deck. I saw it, and I whenever residents have concern, I remind them of, we're past capacity for what we are. And so I'm really proud of that. And I specifically also want to thank the residents who did help with sidewalks. I live right by an elementary school. I've seen kids walking in the street because some people in my neighborhood don't want to shovel their sidewalks. And it makes me really happy to see that almost everyone else has. And so I just think it's a good community when we can all look out for each other, even if we don't have kids at the schools or, just in all the different places. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Mr. Schmidt.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing that no one else has already said. Everyone else has already said.
I
Yes,
actually have
exactly.
one tiny thing to add to the whole, post-event discussion. And thank you again. When it's staff's turn, I don't know if you plan to talk about this, but one of the issues that was brought up as we were in conversation with staff and administration during the snowstorm was the fact that getting CDL licensed drivers remains difficult. And so we may have filled a lot of positions, all of them, correct? Ms. Miller?
We have a couple new vacancies.
Okay, but new folks don't always have that CDL right away, so they're being put in smaller trucks, right? So the fact that we had that situation and we were still plowing 12-hour shifts at a time and getting jobs done the way the weather would allow, I think is a good sign. So I still, I talked with the representative about why, we've got to talk about easing up on this because it didn't used to be so difficult to get a CDL and now it's terribly difficult and we can't hire people. So more to come on that. Mr. Vitas.
I'm going to start out by saying we had it easy. When did we have it easy? The last several years. There's been no snow accumulation. 16 inches 2 years ago, 18 inches last year, 25 plus inches in 1 week. 25 inches. I don't know if you had a ruler and went out and checked, but it was pretty bad. It was a blizzard of 2024 that will be remembered as such. We weren't alone. We all suffered together here in the Quad Cities and across the upper Midwest and other parts of the country. But the reality is it was a record. It was a record in terms of the highest snowfall in 5 years, and in the second highest snowfall event in the history of the city. Think about that. A new public works director who I said he was going to be baptism by fire, and God is my witness, that's what happened. He became baptized by fire in the middle of a storm with a crew of young men, really, and women, but young people. I mean, it's amazing. And how do I know they're young? Because I introduced him to all of them. And as I looked around that room the day that he came on board, I realized how young that room was compared to how that room looked back in 2021 when I came. And we had a slew of retirements. They were given an early opportunity to retire, and they went out in droves. And then we had the difficulty of trying to recruit. CDLs, as you've pointed out, was an issue. It remains an issue, and it might even still continue to be an issue. But we brought on board a lot of young, dedicated employees who, quite honestly, they braved that storm tremendously. I sat there looking at what was happening as it unfolded. I couldn't even get out of the alley behind City Hall. I got stuck. It took me a half hour to go 3 blocks. That's how bad that storm was, and I knew we were gonna have a challenge. But they stood up. They stood up and they got the job done. And to them, the kudos go to those who worked that storm. Whether they were in public works, whether they were utility crews who were fixing water mains and trying to clear parking lots, whether it was the police responding to numerous crashes, whether it was the fire department running 25 calls in 24 hours. I watched our new engine creep down 13th Street from my window, praying it didn't hit the cars on that narrow little street. And by God, they made the turn, but they didn't go down the 13th Street hill. They went down 11th. It's a little bit less steep. So it was an incredible event. I haven't seen one quite like it in a long time. I would liken it to a hurricane, right? Everybody just stuck, nobody going anywhere. Can we improve? You bet. You can always improve. They know that, we know that. We've had multiple meetings, we've got multiple reports, and what you have is a snapshot to share. We're gonna share this with our residents, because I think, they did a stellar performance. I wanna thank the mayor and Alderperson Finch and Alderperson Castro, who braved that storm and went out and brought hot meals to our public works employees. They were being mothered a little bit, but it was good. They needed it. They needed it. They needed it.
I
right?
just have a snow button on my big ol' SUV and it's fun to drive in the
Oh,
snow.
really? I need a new vehicle, so maybe I should have one with a snow button too. Or I'll be stuck in the alley again. Anyhow, we prepared this, real brief snapshot for you. The details are here, and there is loads of details behind this. But this is really a picture of what happened and how the blizzard of 2024 came, it went, and how we tackled it. So, yes.
Are you gonna put this on the webpage?
Oh, yes.
I think it should go there.
Yeah, this is going to go out so that the public knows. I mean, I have to tell you, I think I wrote one email. That's one person wrote me, specifically me, from 9th, I think it was 9th Street, and lives in a nice home. I always check out whoever I'm responding to and make sure they're in the city. And I wrote back to her and I shared the data with her as to what was happening, and there was no perfect street, there was no perfect alley. The downtown was challenged, it was tremendously challenged. Those are things we have to look at, is how do we get the store owners to clear those walkways? They stayed open, but nobody cleaned the snow. It was dangerous walking on the ice. And a lot of people were walking on the street, and that's also dangerous. So whether it's the schools or whether it's downtown shopping, we're gonna look at all of that, We like to do better, and we will do better. And with that, Denver, congratulations on surviving your first storms, plural. And Butch, I didn't need to stop in. I couldn't if I wanted to get a new snow blower, but the old one works. So, you're always there whenever I need equipment. And I know that. So thanks for coming tonight. And with that, thank you.
Anything further from staff? No? All right, then is there any further public comment, Chief? No? Okay, then we have executive session.
Your Honor, I make a motion that the council convene an executive session for the purpose of discussion of appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
Second.
Motion by Murphy, seconded by Timian. Roll call, please.
Alderperson Macias.
Aye.
Razak.
Aye.
Timian.
Aye.
Finch. Castro.
Aye.
Schmidt.
Aye.
Murphy.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays, that motion carries.
All right.